What up, what up? Let me know if you guys can hear me okay. What's up, Radar? Yep, hope you guys went and watched that. We're going to spend most likely the first half on Ron Logan and a lot of the information that was presented. Well, not a lot, but one new piece of information within that video. Focus a lot of our time on today. Thanks again, Radar. Wanda. Analysis and detection. Not a fan. No hate, no shade, just not a fan. I disagree with that, LGW. Good to see you, though. Yeah, very good, well put together video. And I'll be giving you my opinions momentarily. What's up, D? All right, looks like we got a full house. Sorry if I missed you. Patricia, SB74. Frank the Tank, Kevin, Honeybee, Miss Dog Lover, hello. Charlie Murphy, Miss Persevere, hello. Pardon me. Jill Moser, good to see everybody. Honeybee, Anna, Lakeside. Tommy, what's up, Tommy? Jens Awald Ackerson. Hell of a name. JJ, always on time with the upvote. Hit the like button. Unless you're a scrub, then you don't have to. Yep, good to see you, Radar. I am well. I hope you are also. Hope everybody's doing okay. What's up, Bobby? What's up, Anaki? Mandy, what's up? True Crime Housewife. Good to see you. Okay, how many of you have not, I repeat, not seen the video, the R&M bloodlust video that I think it was put out yesterday. Very interesting. So Eminem has not seen it. Bismo. Well, I recommend checking it out if you can. There's a link in the description of this video and also in the chat box. Basically, there's a conversation in a Discord, on the Discord in a group with somebody who seems to be Barbara McDonald. I mean, I don't think anybody's disputing that. She hasn't come out. I checked. She hasn't made any comments like, "Hey, that wasn't me." So I don't see any reason to think that it's not her. It may not be. That's possible. I mean, was she on video? But this was information that was put out before the Ron Logan affidavit was released. So we're gonna preface by putting that information out there. Now, this is an old conversation. I've spoken with people who were part of this chat when it happened. And some of those people also were part of a discussion. And this is not just people restricted to that group that viewed it, but even prior to that, after, we pretty much understood that Barbara McDonald had a copy or had at least seen Ron Logan's probable cause. So we've had that discussion. So when you go watch this R&M video and she seems extremely confident or like she's holding inside information or, she's got the inside scoop, it's because at the time she did. She's holding on to the Ron Logan affidavit. And then shortly after that, there's a lot that goes on with the murder sheet. And there's some debate whether or not maybe they traded information, the unredacted version of Keegan's transcript, and I'll go ahead and give you Ron Logan's unredacted probable cause affidavit. And that's just speculation on my part. But if you go watch the video, it's basically it's pure conjecture. I just want to put that out there. And that's, no shot at anybody involved in that. But it is pure conjecture. It's just her giving her opinion. She doesn't have any inside scoop at this point because we've all seen the Ron Logan affidavit, right? But it is a biased conversation. It's people who are of the belief that Ron Logan is actually the guy on the bridge, not just involved. You hear talk about, he's not a lone wolf. He wouldn't snitch, just stuff like that. We're not going to focus on all that back and forth questions today. If you want to see that, like I said, go check out the video and I recommend it. I hope that you already did that. But what we're going to focus on is the middle part. They bring up a man's name, James Haas. So what I did was I pulled the transcript from the video and I just put some AI robot voice to it. So it's going to sound a little bit weird, but we're going to listen to that, and then we're going to talk about it. Let me catch up on this chat real quick. It is weird that it comes out now, True Housewife, but I think I have a good explanation for why it did come out. And it's really, this information is the motivation behind it. It's no different than the motivation in the probable cause affidavit. And we'll break that down. And this is all in my opinion. And we'll break that down throughout the live stream. Gra sucks that can't be technically cleared. I wonder about Barbara McDonald's stuff. That guy Robert Lindsay also had the probable cause affidavit. Yeah, so it was being passed around. We talked about it. I think I talked about it with Frank briefly. I've talked with Fig Mutant Solves extensively about it and about Barbara having a copy of that and possibly being connected to why it was eventually released by the murder sheet. And that's why I speculated maybe they just kind of swapped. What's up, Vanessa? Dan Spain, New York. What up? What up? What's up, Melissa? What's up, Blind Squirrel? Appreciate you. It's always good to see you. Reach into my soul. Hello. Vanessa, what's going on? That's before the Richard Allen arrest. If that was in fact Barb, I'm curious what she thinks about Richard Allen. Yeah, what's funny is she was giving her opinions because she was kind of close to the case. She was able to speak with law enforcement, able to hear conversations that we never had access to. She had her hands on Ron Logan's probable cause affidavit before anybody even knew it existed, before anybody was even trying to get their hands on that kind of paperwork. So she had it. So when she's giving this conversation, she's giving it from a place of I don't know. I wouldn't say, maybe even cocky. Like, she had an opportunity to show off there because truthfully, she's been working on the case. She's worked very hard on it. HLN, they're a big part of the case. So I think she was feeling more pressure when the murder sheet came out. And I think, that's when all this information just started kind of spilling out. So I think a big part of why that happened was her, and then the murder sheet, I would say HLN, and then the murder sheet podcast. And then just pressure from other people being able to access some of these documents who chose not to put their watermark all over it. What's up, Copper? Good to see you, Don. All right. Trying to catch up on the chat. I'm almost there. Firing the ball. Hey, Angela. Radar. It comes out now because BM fed off of the RL trusting her and did feel like she was a friend, but trust her probably not completely. If you listen to what others told RL, I doubt it. Well, I'm sure he thought he was having, maybe he thought he had a shot with her. I mean, she's not like some young kid, some young journalist. Like, she's an adult. Maybe he was pursuing an opportunity. What's up, Railroad? All right. So this, like I said, if you want to hear the back and forth, in my opinion, like I said, it's all conjecture. It's just opinions from somebody at the time who had inside information that is now public. We're going to skip all that. If you want to see it, link is in the description. I recommend that you do go see it. We're going to be spending the first probably hour going over it. So if you want to, you can just shoot right over there real quick. It's only, I think, like 15 minutes. But I'm going to go ahead and play a transcript from that video, just the James Haas part. And I think the voiceover may have been done by Hoosier Cold Cases, pretty sure that's who did it. So they did a great job on the video. I just differ in opinions. And if you can't hear this audio here in just a second, let me know. Sometimes I have problems with it. And this is just an AI voice. So I pulled the transcript and then attached some AI voice to play it. In case anybody didn't, if that wasn't obvious. All right. Let me know if you can't hear this.
On August 10, 2017, 59-year-old James Haas of Burnetville, Indiana shot and killed 62-year-old Richard Mark Hutton in Carroll County, Indiana. Haas was later found guilty of the murder and received a 55-year sentence in January 2018. James Haas and Ronald Logan briefly crossed paths while inside the Carroll County Jail, where Haas was awaiting his murder trial and Logan was preparing for his probation hearing later that month. The two men shared a jail cell for 1 week from approximately approximately January 8 to January 16. During that time, Haas reported to jail staff several disturbing incidents involving his cellmate Ron Logan. According to Haas, on at least one occasion Logan began masturbating on the floor of their shared jail cell while muttering sexually violent things about the Delphi murder victims, one of whom Logan mentioned by name. Due to Haas's upcoming murder trial, law enforcement at the time dismissed Haas's claims about Logan as an attempt to cut a deal or lessen his own sentence. This assumption, however, was unfounded, as Haas did not withhold any details of the incident from law enforcement, leaving himself nothing to bargain over, and never requested any leniency in return for the information. Law enforcement never followed up on or investigated Haas's claims. Later that same month, Logan was released to serve the remainder of his sentence on home detention. On August 10, 2007.
Right. So it might have been a little bit hard to understand, but I guess this information is coming from Barbara McDonald, stating that she did speak with this James Haas. His story's never changed, and that he at one point was locked up with Ron Logan. See, at this point, it's all hearsay unless we can prove that, right? But at some point, this Haas guy says that he witnessed Ron Logan on the ground touching himself inappropriately and muttering sexually aggressive things about the Delphi girls. Okay. So what I did was I wanted to know a little bit more about who James Haas was and why I should be paying attention not only to somebody who's claiming what he said, but why I would even listen to what he said if he was saying it directly to me. Why I should be listening to a convicted murderer, first and foremost. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Occam's razor and how people can get that confused and I guess cut themselves, I guess is the best way to put it. Yeah, this is a very interesting person. And it doesn't seem like he needs to be motivated by any kind of deal with law enforcement to make up some bullshit. That was not his voice. His voice is much, much calmer than that. Once again, that was an AI voice. Funny one, Mandy. Hello. Good to see you, Indy Pam. Yeah, I don't know if he was, like I said, I don't know if he asked for a deal. I don't know if law enforcement followed up. Maybe they did follow up. Maybe he has a history of making shit up. I don't know. Once again, it's conjecture. People don't understand who phone pings either, especially from that location. One thing to consider, a lot of searches on their phones and data would change tower availability. Here, let me pop this up on the screen. Okay, this is from August 19th, 2019. Now, the person you see here on the screen, his name is Michael Plummer. Title of this is Michael Plummer was allegedly attempting to intimidate people who knew the whereabouts of a wanted associate. So this shows you how these guys operate and why it's extremely scary for anybody involved or close to the Delphi case. And this is probably just a small example. Okay, Michael Plummer is accused of setting fire to the home of another man who was in jail. Plummer of Morse Hill is now in jail. 2. The 52-year-old was charged with arson, level 4 felony, and intimidation, level 6 felony on August 15th. Eagle County 99.3 told you last week the Moores Hill resident James Haas was arrested on allegations that he fatally shot his girlfriend's dog in his living room back in July. So now he's a dog killer. As Haas was sitting behind bars on August 13th, his home on Hogan Creek Road burned down, according to a court affidavit. It didn't take long for fire investigators to determine the fire which destroyed Haas' home had been set deliberately. They determined gasoline was used as an accelerant A trail of charred grass in the yard was determined to be the path where the person walked away from the home while pouring gasoline and then set the fire. Members of the county road crew noticed smoke in the area and reported the structure fire. A member of that crew who went to the fire scene reported seeing Plummer drive past in a red pickup truck on the dead end road. Dearborn County Sheriff's investigators informed Haas, who was in jail, that his home had burned. Haas told detectives that he suspected Plummer and Ralph John Berry were responsible for his house catching fire. Plummer allegedly targeted Haas because he believed he had information on criminal activity Plummer was involved in. Plummer and Ralph John Berry had allegedly stolen Haas's red pickup truck on August 9th, as Berry was on the run from a bail bondsman and the law for skipping out on his bond. Haas told detectives that Plummer and Berry had threatened to kill him if he called police. Investigators found Plummer at the home of Kathy Berry on North Hogan Road on August 13th. Berry's Honda CRV was seized as evidence because police observed inside it a 5-gallon gasoline canister and 1-gallon gasoline canister and a soiled men's t-shirt with burn marks on it. A sword with a Nazi swastika emblem on it belonging to Haas was also in the vehicle. The following day, the sheriff's office received a call from James Haas's brother. He reported that he had received a text message from Plummer stating, "You're going to cry at the funeral." Plummer had also texted, "I will after I burn it, because you ain't getting any more from my blank like Jimmy has. He owes me a few thousand, and I collect one or the other." Plummer was taken into custody on August 14th at Berry's home. Berry told police that Plummer confessed to burning down Haas's home. Okay. So now you want me to believe, well, it sounds like a neo-Nazi, somebody who has a sword with swastika emblem on it, a dog killer, and a convicted murderer. That you want me to believe that person? I don't know if I'm ready to do that, but that's just me. Let's see. I pulled one more. I think this is in relation to the actual murder charge. Okay. So there's a picture of this guy. Shit. For all we know, he could have been part of the murders. But what I am seeing is a pattern of them helping their friends. Like he did all of this. Oh, thank you so much, Chelsea Taylor. I appreciate that. But they're going out of their way to protect each other, to protect their friends. So why wouldn't Haas be in prison with Ron Logan and make up some shit about him, to protect? Maybe he knows the real killer. So this one was released August 16th, 2017. Carroll County East 911 dispatch received a report from Tracy Haushen August 10th at 10:48 a.m. saying she returned home to find her boyfriend unresponsive. Investigators found the victim, Richard M. Haushen, 62, of Deer Creek, and he appeared to be deceased. Tracy was a former wife and the current live-in girlfriend of the victim. Preliminary suspicion centered on the condition of the home's interior when investigators arrived. Items in the home were found in disarray. An autopsy was scheduled for August 11th. According to the probable cause affidavit filed in Carroll County Court by County Detective Tony Leggett. That name sounds really familiar. It was determined at the scene the cause of death was most likely due to 2 bullet wounds in the head, which appeared to be from a small caliber firearm. Houchin told investigators she suspected James Haas, her former boyfriend, of hurting her former husband. It was stated in the probable cause affidavit Haas made many attempts to contact Tracy Houchin, which she rejected. She said she and her former husband planned to remarry in September. He was jealous. James Haas' brother Perry told a White County investigator that his brother James indicated he wanted to hurt Houchin and described a scenario in which that would happen. Perry Haas said When he heard a man was found dead in Deer Creek, he called the White County investigator about the matter. Dang, he snitched on his brother. Good for him. So he can't, I mean, if your own brother's turning you in, yeah, I mean, I think until I see more information, I'm going to choose not to entertain any more of James Haas's accusations. Right. Let me try to catch up on the chat here. Nicole, hello. I don't really believe it. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying consider the source. Well, they mentioned that, but I don't think so. It's like I'm saying, it's all these rumors. Like law enforcement has never come out and said, yeah, Ron Logan said provided information regarding Garrett Kurtz. That channel has never talked about Anthony Schatz or even Richard Allen. That's okay. Live somewhere on the roadshow, document. Yeah, phone pings are not the same as like a triangulation. I think it has a lot to do with availability, but I could be wrong. Kate says those guys do whatever for attention. Well, I mean, they're trying to plead their case. The only thing is it's not. I keep hearing the word Occams thrown around, and I think they're trying to keep it simple, but they're not. What they're doing is they have an opinion. They have a preconceived notion, and they're doing what's called stacking. And we all do it. We're all guilty of it. But when we do it, we consider it theorizing and speculating. But stacking can be very dangerous, and it's the opposite of Occam's razor. Occam's razor is not the simplest, way to an answer. It's just something that may be right in front of you. You should never be too busy stacking all these hypothetical and speculatory ideas when you have like a few facts right in front of you that could just lead to the answer quickly. And I think when it comes to Ron Logan, there's a lot of stacking. Even in the responses from Barbara, she's like, oh, well, he's formidable, and the way he went up and down those hills and this, and that, stuff like that. Like they're just stacking it. So you got to be careful with that. Yep, arsonist too. And sounds like a white supremacist. So we know where that's pointing. Remember, we all know about Flora. Yeah, Eminem for sure. A lot of conjecture, a lot of interesting, good conversation starter. But once again, it's a good example of stacking information, building it to a point that you're already at. You're just trying to help others get to where you're at, or maybe even convince yourself along the way. And that could help if you plan to eventually fill in those gaps with actual facts and things like that. All right, so let's go through a few videos here, give you the background on Ron Logan, and then we're going to pull up his affidavit and we're going to go through it. And then once we're done doing that, I have a few other videos I want to go over regards, it'll stay on topic. And then from there, we're going to kind of switch the direction of the stream and we'll open it up for discussion. What's up, Jamie?
Here or anywhere else anymore.
Ron Logan is now in custody on an unrelated probation violation. I recently spoke to him about the murders.
You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard.
He told me he has an alibi, buying tropical fish 20 miles away.
See, I was not home during the time that all this was happening. I was in Lafayette. Yeah. And I didn't get home till approximately 6:30 in the evening, and then the neighbor stopped to ask for permission to look back here for the girls.
Liberty German shot this chilling image of the suspected killer approaching the girls on a hiking trail, and she recorded the killer's voice.
What do you hear on there?
Nothing that I recognize at all. No one. I don't recognize the voice at all.
I asked Ron Logan to repeat those same chilling words.
Down the hill.
And that image of the suspect?
The picture is of such poor quality, it doesn't look like anyone I've ever seen.
Police have not revealed what led them to search his home, but said in a statement, "We basically are here to try to eliminate him or put him as a higher suspect in our case." Ron Logan told me he is devastated by the discovery of the bodies on his property.
That was like being hit with a bolt of lightning on my property. I mean, you just can't put words to it.
Two Indiana girls who disappeared while hiking, and it involves the owner of the property where their bodies were found. Eyewitness News reporter Rob Elgist here with the story.
Ronald Logan has never been named a suspect in the girls' killings, but the FBI and state police did search his property in the weeks after Liberty German and Abigail Williams were found dead. And court documents show Logan visited a dump site the day the friends went missing. Handcuffed and shackled, Ronald Logan pleaded guilty to a felony charge of being a habitual traffic violator today. Logan admitted to driving on a suspended license and drinking alcohol, violations of his probation. Prosecutors also say the 77-year-old drove to a dump site the same day 14-year-old Libby German and 13-year-old Abby Williams disappeared. Logan spoke to reporters after the girls' bodies were found on his property.
It's been violated horribly, and I just don't know that your home being your sanctuary is, I don't feel that way about it anymore. It's very concerning.
Logan is not considered a suspect, and investigators have used two clues to try and dig up leads. This photo was snapped by one of the girls. It shows a man walking on a bridge. And this chilling audio was recorded on Liberty's cell phone. It's looped in this clip. Prosecutors did not reveal the time of day Logan went to that dump site. Residents can drop trash and recyclables there. Indiana
like
State Police still waiting on processing some items that were seized from his home during that search of his home and property. It's been more than 6 weeks now since those girls' bodies were found.
Okay, Rob.
Things that were said that were not true, or that things that were that we've uncovered since the interviews that we're just double checking to make
false
sure
alibi.
That brought police back to the Delphi property.
And what's weird is it's not really a false alibi. It's like his alibi seems like it could be true. The only thing he really changes is the fact that he was not the one driving.
The bodies of Libby German and Abby Williams were discovered. We broke that story today with that push alert that you got around noon. And we want to stress tonight the homeowner has not been arrested for or charged with the girls' murders.
The homeowner is being held on an unrelated and alleged probation violation. Just hours ago, his attorney reached out to us and told us the landowner had, quote, no involvement in this heinous crime, saying in a statement, quote, I would like to caution the public to avoid jumping to conclusions before law enforcement has completed the ongoing investigation.
Still, as Logan sits in jail tonight, we've got Rich Van Wyck, who's been sitting outside his house as police went through it today with a warrant. Rich?
Scott, this investigation here, search started 6 hours ago. There's no sign of it letting up soon. We have the FBI, state, and local police searching the house, the garage, the outbuildings, the field behind the outbuildings, even into the woods. This is just a few hundred yards away from where the girls' bodies were found. Police seized hands full of evidence, hauled away Ron Logan's pickup truck, and searched the home, garage, and farm buildings with the help of a canine. Investigators aren't saying precisely what brought them here or what they're looking for.
We want to either clear him or look at him even harder.
The FBI
The girls'
brought him
bodies
there.
were found just a few hundred yards away from Logan's home, in a secluded, wooded area of his property. In the weeks since the murders, the 77-year-old has talked with us often, walked us back into the crime scene.
Largest tragedies in Carroll County history.
He's denied having any connection to the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German.
I was cleared by the authorities ages ago.
But since then, police say they've received leads and other information, leading them to believe the details Logan gave investigators don't add up.
We're finding out that there was things that were said
Ex-girlfriends
that were not
came forward.
true, or that things that were that we've uncovered
And a
since
cousin.
the interviews that we're just double checking to make sure everything's lined up.
Police arrested Logan earlier this week on an unrelated probation violation. He has a history of drunk driving convictions, but no record of more serious or violent crimes. Investigators warn against.
So I just want you guys to focus on that part here. When we get into the probable cause affidavit and they start talking about ex-girlfriends and what they said about Ron Logan, just remember nothing is, there were no charges or anything. There's nothing to back up those claims is what I'm saying. So it's kind of just hearsay.
Serious or violent crimes. Investigators warn against drawing any conclusions. Since their investigation began 4.5 weeks ago, they've conducted dozens of searches, interviewed scores of potential suspects, and given some of them polygraph tests. They've made no arrests.
We've done all kinds of things to other people, and it's all part of trying to clear them and try to get them to either be more of a suspect or to get them clear out of the picture and get them cleared, and so they can move on with their lives.
This investigation, this search, though, certainly has people talking. Earlier today, one of the victim's grandfathers drove through here as people were getting set up for the search and blocking the road off. Emily, you've been talking to him. What's he been saying?
Well, Rich, we know from investigators that when the public hears from family members, namely Mike Patty, Libby German's grandfather, the number of tips goes up. They surge. Patty has said it could take only one tip, the right tip, to break this case. So we reached out to Mike Patty today to ask him what he thinks about investigators being back at this property here today. Here's what he had to say, quote, my reaction is I hope the investigation, wherever it takes police, leads to the arrest of the person or persons involved. Now, investigators say with this latest development, the searching of this property, more tips have come in again today. And a frequent mantra among investigators about solving this case, Rich, has been today is the day. Of course, we had this massive search that's still going on today, but no arrests.
And Emily, I think this is a surprise, and it is extraordinary to be searching an area that is so close to a crime scene that is over 4 weeks old. You'll be following the story tonight. When there's something new, we'll put it online and, of course, on the night beat.
Okay, so they had hair, they had fibers, they had a bullet, they have a fingerprint, and they have DNA. Okay, they search, and Ron Logan matches to none of that.
Center of that tape, if you see it, it goes around a loop.
And that's your property up to the water? Or
Yes,
where does your
up to the
line
property.
Up to the water?
Right up to the property. half a mile all day long.
Okay, so at 9 a.m. in the morning when Ron Logan, according to his probable cause affidavit, let's say he's standing right there in the morning and he looks down and he sees those bodies. He's like, all he can see is himself in handcuffs. Guaranteed.
Belongs to this 40 acres.
How far are we from the Monon High Bridge?
Right over there, you can see it. You walk down a little bit farther. It's about 1/8 of a mile on the other side of that creek, and it runs like this. This ground runs like that. The creek makes a bend. It all comes together right down there across from that brick house. And that's the last pictures they had at the end of the bridge. So how in the world they got all through all that down to here.
So the bridge is right over there?
Yes.
How difficult, I mean, you know this land better, 53 years here, right?
Right.
How difficult is that to get from the bridge to that area?
On this side, very difficult. Very difficult. What you see over there is it. Very difficult.
Catch up on the chat here real quick, and then we're going to start going through this probable cause affidavit. Because this is what Barbara McDonald was holding in her possession during this conversation. So she did have inside information at the time, but it was this document. That's why some of the questions they asked, oh, was there more to the video? She's like, no, it's 43 seconds. It's not as helpful as you might think. Well, she was getting that information. Her source was these documents here. Anna, hello. Ron Logan went to the dump on the morning of the 13th around 11 a.m. before the crime. Yep. It was like 11:30-ish or something. What's up, my wrench? Good to see you. French says law enforcement wouldn't need a warrant to search Ron's property as a condition of his probation. He was on probation at the time of the murders. Well, that's true, and it's not true. Because they did search his home. I think on the 16th. They found out he went to the dump. So I believe that's when they said, hey, you violated your probation. We're going to search your home. He's like, that's fine. But that's the only problem. They can only search his home. They can't search the shed. They can't search, the surrounding properties or the buildings on his property. What's up, Lizzie? 1150, 1157. Yep, I think it's actually in this probable cause. But we're going to tear these documents apart today. We're going to just rip them to shreds. Metaphorically, of course. Ex-girlfriends, I'm a woman, but am keenly aware of what ex-girlfriends are capable of. That's correct, Lorraine. And ex-boyfriends, for that matter. So off 26 minutes. That's true. Okay. So just like R&M's video, which was put together well, the ideas support a preconceived notion. And I think the same goes for this probable cause affidavit by Nicole Robertson in the FBI. So these accusations here that are contained in here by some of the exes and some of the exes of Ron Logan and some of the information that Nicole Robertson chose to put in here was to fuel those preconceived notions. So there's a lot of confirmation bias here and in that video, which is fine as long as we're being honest about it. It's not a criticism or anything like that. So let's jump right in. On February 13th, 2017 at approximately 1 p.m., juvenile victims hereafter referred to as Libby and Abby were taken to the Monon High Bridge Trail located in Delphi, Indiana. Okay, so now the first sentence in this probable cause affidavit should tell us all we need to know about the rest of the information, right? So who wants to be the one to type it in the comment box? What is wrong with that first sentence there? I mean, I can understand you making a mistake here and there, but we're talking the very first sentence. We did not have to go far. What's up, Karen? All right. That is 100% correct, SP74. The time is not only off, it's way off. It's almost off by an entire hour. And this also leads me to believe that they did not have the Hoosier Harvestor video at this point. And the Hoosier Harvestor video could most likely be the reason they went in a new direction. They were able to verify some information that they had early on that they now were 100% sure was more valuable and meant much more to the case than it did before. And I think it's the Hoosier Harvestor video. Question is, why didn't they have it? It was much later than 1:35. I believe it was 1:49 to be exact. Okay. So we're not off to a good start here. Libby and Abby were walking the trail in the area of Country Road 300 North and 575 West. So the road right in front of the County Road 300 is right there in front of the cemetery. Gives the latitude and longitude location at approximately 2:13 p.m., which was the time of the last contact with LG and AW by cellular device. The victims were to be picked up by a family member at 3 p.m., and the victims never met with the family member. Approximately 5:30 p.m. was the last successful ping of the cellular phone by AT&T. The victims, Libby and Abby, were located deceased on February 14th, 2017 at approximately 12:17 p.m. at the above listed latitude and longitude, having been victims of murder. Okay, so one thing we gain from this information, we know that the phone will not ping unless it is on. So we knew the phone was still on and the battery was still good up until 5:30 p.m. See you later, honeybee. Yeah, that could be true. They could be a little bit off, but they seem pretty close. Okay, so a suspect has been developed of a white male wearing a blue jacket with a heavy physical build, wearing a cap and blue jeans. The development of the suspect was made by a 43-second video taken on LG's phone where the suspect follows the victims as they are walking on the Monon High Bridge Trail. Near the end of the video, the suspect speaks to the victim saying, "Down the hill." It sounds as though he is directing the victims to leave the trail they were on and enter the wooded area below. No persons has come forward and identified himself as the person who met the victims and made the statement in LG's video. Therefore, it is believed that the person in LG's video participated in the killings, which would be an assumption, and I think she's right here. So we have somebody that came forward and said, yeah, I was wearing a blue jacket and blue jeans, but I'm not the person that communicated with them. So he never says that I made the statement. And I'm referring to Richard Allen. Richard Allen, that is. Images of the suspect have been broadcast on the news media since February 15th, 2017. So 2 days after the murder, they finally released a clip from the video. Or no, they actually mention him as a person of interest. LG and AW are presumed to have made contact with the unknown male at approximately 2:13 p.m. Based upon analysis of Libby's cell phone, which recorded the video on February 14th, 2017 at approximately 12:17 p.m., victims were found dead with wounds caused by an edged weapon on the property owned by Ronald Logan. A large amount of blood was lost by the victims at the crime scene because of the nature of the victim's wounds. It is nearly certain the perpetrator of the crime would have gotten blood on his person and clothing. The location of the crime scene is approximately 1,400 feet from Logan's residence. That's a long way. 1,400 feet. That's not close. Julia, apparently there's no such thing. They said the last ping was at 5:30. That's crazy, Chopper. That'd be shocking to find that out. Honeybee, I agree with you. My comments keep getting removed. Are you talking about here? I hope nobody's removing your comments here. Maybe you're talking about other channels or something. Heavy build. Richard Allen most definitely has a heavy build. He might be short, but he's definitely has a heavy build. He's very stocky, in my opinion. He looks like he's got a gut, too. Okay, so the people who committed this crime, they left DNA, they left fingerprints, they left a bullet casing. There was lots of blood involved. There was hair and fibers. Okay. They searched Ron Logan. Nothing from Ron Logan was being attached to any of that. And the things that Barb McDonald was referring to in the Discord conversation that we've recently seen, where they said he could have been charged with things that they chose not to. And well, of course, when you read this affidavit, he's falsifying an alibi. He could have been charged for that. Yep, short, stumpy, round. Shoulders are somewhat broad. He's not short and skinny. He's short and kind of stocky. Yep, I've seen pictures of him 6 years ago. He's still short and stocky. Just less of a gut, less of a tummy. I don't know. I could be taking that out of context. Sleuth, I saw where Tobe said they sent personal back to bridge because of 2:30 ping at the bridge. SpongeBob SquarePants. All right. Well, we are at almost the hour mark, so I'm going to try to hurry it up here. It was also discovered that I believe this is underwear of one of the victims was missing from the crime scene while the rest of their clothing was recovered. It also appeared the girls' bodies were moved and staged. Based upon my training and experience, it is common for perpetrators of this type of crime to take souvenirs or in some fashion memorialize the crime scene, whether by photos, electronic digital methods. that are then downloaded onto computers, storage devices, tablets, phones, etc. Libby and Abby had no visible signs of a struggle or fight. Okay, so if Ron Logan is this lone hunter, according to Barb McDonald, how is there no signs of a struggle or a fight? And honestly, I don't know if this is true. I don't put too much into this affidavit here. I mean, it's just so. I just don't think you should include hearsay and things like that in an actual probable cause affidavit. It seems misleading or one-sided. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators located unknown fibers and unidentified hairs, which may later be used for comparison of similar fibers or hairs, which none matched to Logan, or we would have heard about it, right? Logan owns numerous weapons, including handguns and knives. So this is kind of telling us that a handgun could be involved. Knives that were observed by law enforcement during the execution of a search warrant that took place at his home on March 6, 2017. Logan's home was searched as a result of a probation violation. So the first search, this is the one thing that could lean towards Ron Logan having involvement and a good reason why they didn't find anything. So if you look here, took place at his home at March 6th. So it looks like they didn't, I think they may have done a preliminary search, but I don't think they officially searched his home. And we won't even include anything. We'll just say that this was the first time that they searched his home, right? We have a date here, March 6, 2017, and it was because of a probation violation. So if that was the first time they searched his home, he had ample time to remove evidence if he was involved. On February 14th, 2017, at approximately 9:20 a.m., Logan contacted his cousin. Okay, on February 14th, 2017, this is before the bodies were found. But I want to play a video real quick that we just watched. I want to play it again because it seems to help. Okay. When I read this probable cause affidavit, I pictured Ron Logan coming out right here where he's standing at that exact same time, around 9:30 in the morning, and he sees the bodies. Because where he's standing and the sun is, it's morning time, boom. You're like, well, there they are. Listen to what he says.
All I can tell you, they were in the center of that tape. If you see it, it goes around a loop.
And that's your property up to the water? Or
Yes,
where does your
up to
line
the property.
Up to the water?
Right up to.
So I have, and this is pure speculation, nothing backs this up, but I mean, why would he wait till 9 the next morning to come up with an alibi? Why wouldn't he do it that night? And why at 9:20? You think he just stayed up all night thinking, oh man, like, how am I going to get away with this? To me, it's more likely that he came out here, he's seen this, and he's like, damn, they're going to think they're going to think I did it. Eventually, they'll find out I didn't do it, but they're also going to find out that I was, violating my probation and being an habitual offender, so to speak. Okay, so let's bounce back over here. I just wanted to throw that up there to kind of help with where I was going. Thank you, Tom. Tom with the super chat. I don't think Ron Logan has anything to do with it. I think he witnessed something and never spoke up. I think they have known it was Richard Allen since 2018-ish. I think that's very possible. So we'll start back here on February 14th, 2017 at approximately 9:20 a.m. Logan contacted his cousin. Okay, 9:20 a.m. This is just a few hours before the bodies were discovered. Logan asked his cousin to tell the police that his cousin came to Logan's home between 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. on the 13th to pick up Logan. Logan further told his cousin to say that his cousin drove Logan to an aquarium store in Lafayette, Indiana. Logan told his cousin to say they returned home to Logan's house between 5 p.m. and 5:30. So I believe that that this is not falsifying an alibi. I believe that that's what Logan did. I believe that he left around between 2 and 2:30 because there were some strange pings apparently that may have happened. So I believe that it's all true. He just needed to take himself out of the driver's seat because once he saw those bodies there around 9 a.m., if that's what happened, he's going to think, man, they're going to think that this was a crime of opportunity. They're going to think I seen the girls and attacked them. They're going to find out I was out drinking. So he had no reason to say he wasn't at the dump. They weren't going to, if he was assuming that it was going to be a crime of opportunity, they wouldn't even care about that. What were you doing during the time of the murders? Like in my opinion, he wasn't even thinking that there's some kind of conspiracy or that this was like, he has no facts. He just thinks that they're going to assume that it was a crime of opportunity. And this is his way of trying to prevent going to jail, which he went to jail anyway. But that's because he actually went to a restaurant again later on the 27th. So they're like, dude, like we let you slide and then you took advantage. So I think that's why they eventually arrested him and then shortly after served a search warrant. All right. So Logan further told his cousin to say that he drove Logan to the aquarium. So that's in Lafayette. He would have been gone for about an hour and a half. It's just a lot of activity for somebody who planned to murder somebody. Property law enforcement officer advised Logan that law enforcement would not search his home unless evidence led law enforcement to Logan's house. In that meeting, Logan told law enforcement that he did not think evidence would lead them to that, but said, I don't know. This has got to be the most common answer to a question like that. Why would he know? See, this is, they're just stacking all this shit. Like that is straw. That's a straw right there. Those quotation marks might as well just put two straws on each end. They're grasping. I don't know. Oh, well, why would he say I don't know? Shouldn't he say, well, 100%? Like, come on. That's ridiculous. This type of shit should not be in a probable cause affidavit, in my opinion. A receipt from Aquarium World in Lafayette dated February 13th, 2017, with a checkout time of 5:21 p.m. was found in Logan's home on March 6, 2017 during a probation violation search. Excuse me. Logan resides approximately 22 miles from the store. It would take approximately 30 minutes to get to the store from Logan's home. So 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, maybe 15 minutes in the store. So that has him leaving, around 4-ish. On March 6, 2017, during an interview with law enforcement, Logan said he was picked up by his cousin around 3 p.m. and taken straight to the aquarium store in Lafayette. In the March 6, 2017 interview, Logan said after he was done at the aquarium store, he was driven straight home. These statements were found to be factually false and intentionally designed to deceive. So if you do the math of 5:21 and it takes an hour to get there, an hour back, 21 minutes at the store, it's almost that would have fit perfect with him playing a role in the crime, considering that Richard Allen was seen, or the bloody and muddy man was seen right around 3:59 heading towards the CPS building. So if Ron Logan had anything to do with it, he might be inspired to create an alibi, and leaving at that very moment would align with that time frame. So on March 6, 2017, during an interview, he was picked up by his cousin around 3 p.m. and taken straight to the aquarium store in Lafayette. In the March 6th interview, Logan said he was done at the aquarium store. He was driven straight home. On March 7th, 2017, his cousin was interviewed by law enforcement and told law enforcement that he was with Logan on Monday, February 13th, and that he drove Logan to the aquarium store in Lafayette on March 9th. On March 9th, 2017, the cousin was interviewed by a separate law enforcement officer regarding the trip to the aquarium, and this is when he told the truth. He stated that he lied when he was interviewed by law enforcement on the 7th at Logan's request. Okay, so let's skip all the way to on March 12th. The cousin explained in an interview that law enforcement that Logan called him on the morning of February 14th and asked him to provide the alibi for Logan's drive to the aquarium in Lafayette. So I think his alibi was truthful. I just think he had to take himself out of that driver's seat. Well, at 9:20 a.m., this is the following day. The girls would have already passed. This was 9:20, just before the girls were found. And says the bodies were partially concealed with leaves and brush because it was so hard to find the spot. It must have been fairly well hidden, plus deep fog in the night until noon the next day. What's up, Shay? Good to see you. Joyce, hello. I think he saw who may have done it. What did he take to the dump? Why lie 2 times regarding alibi? He was afraid of the persons who did do this, not Richard Allen. Could be. And we saw in those articles how certain people, they protect their friends. And they'll do it by any means necessary. Burning down your house. Threatening to murder you. Angela says, what about his call or text that night at 10 something? Body son. I'm not familiar with that one. Is that listed here? Let's read this portion here. The cousin said he thought the photograph of the male released by the media of the man on the bridge looked like Ron Logan. Well, I guess we can pause there. I'm going to loop this while you guys take a look at it. I need to take a restroom break and grab me another water. I'm going to try to drink a full gallon today. All right.
You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard.
Can you guys hear that?
Down the hill. You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard. Down the hill. Down the hill. You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard. Down the hill. Down the hill. You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard. Down the hill. Down the hill. You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard. Down the hill. Down the hill. You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard.
Guys,
Down the hill. You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard.
guys,
Down the hill. You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community and the families actually happened here on my property in my backyard.
guys,
Down the hill. You just cannot believe this terrible thing that happened to the community.
Thanks, Tom. And I don't know if he had any involvement in it. I just don't have anything that would lead me to believe that. And him falsifying the information at 9:20 the next day kind of paints a picture for me on what really might have inspired him. But yeah, he could definitely be involved. There's some pieces of information that tie him in, but I mean, just by using your eyes, you can see he's not the bridge guy, right? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is possible, Blind Squirrel. He's seen it. He knew the killer. But whatever happened, he knew that they were going to find out that he was driving and drinking. I think they found out he was drinking also. Charlie Murphy says Mike Patty was throwing around the kidnapping scenario on the news on the 13th, the night of the search. Why? What did he know? What led him to think that and make that statement? Well, I think he made the statement around 9 p.m. just before they shut down the search. But that means they had already been searching for over 3 hours. So if they searched for over 3 hours and they had all these people out there helping and they hadn't found him yet, it's not that big of an area. I think he started to assume that they weren't there, that somebody may have taken them. Yeah, that is an interesting angle, Brian. I just don't know how it ties in to the information that's right in front of us. Tom says his lawyers even said in the last interview that they aren't feeling very confident about the case. Listen carefully. Richard, are you referring to Richard Allen? I don't know, Lizzie. Like, I don't want to say he's not involved and then him be involved. I'm saying that I just don't understand why people are calling him the bridge guy or saying that he had any involvement. Because when we read the probable cause affidavit, it's full of blunders right from sentence number 1. I mean, it just looks like, if you pile up a whole lot of nonsense as tall as 6'1", and then just call it Ron Logan and throw it out on the bridge. All right. Let's see here. Do I want to switch gears just yet, or is there more I wanted to add? Oh, we are going to cut the Ron Logan affidavit short because there's some other things that I wanted to get into. that the channel Unsolved reminded me of. So we're going to finish with that. But first, in regards to the accusations that they included in Ron Logan's affidavit, his girlfriend's calling him abusive, saying that, you know, that he said he was going to kill him. And so I wanted to show a couple of these false accusation videos. And it's one thing that's important. It is dangerous to play these types of videos because it kind of puts out the notion that maybe some of these women aren't, or that they shouldn't be believed. But the truth is, these women or these people out here that make false accusations are harming the people that are truly being victimized. So those women need to stand behind everybody else against these false accusers, instead of saying, hey, stop showing this, because that's not always the case. It's rarely the case. But the truth is, we need to put more pressure on these people so that they know that that's wrong, because it hurts real victims, in my opinion. These are just 2 short click videos just to kind of let everybody know that it is possible. It does happen. And using an ex or somebody that you're no longer getting along with, or who might have bias against you, you shouldn't be using that testimony if it's unfounded, in my opinion.
Carving an X into her chest with a box cutter, but now she's the one facing jail time. The arrest of a 19-year-old woman today comes after we first shared the story of Christopher Procopia and how a selfie saved him from possibly going to prison. Tony Plahetsky has an update on how police have now charged her with lying about the whole thing.
Christopher Procopia knows what it's like to be accused of a crime he didn't commit.
It was terrible. It was heartbreaking. It felt like nobody could believe me. Nobody wanted to believe me.
He also knows the feeling of vindication.
It's such a gratifying feeling.
Now he's pursuing justice.
I want her to realize the pain she has caused me.
We first told you Christopher's story last month. It was soon shared around the world. A story of how he felt guilty until proven innocent, and how a selfie saved him from prison. Last year, a woman he dated 4 years ago in high school called Temple Police and told them Christopher had just broken into her home and sliced her with a box cutter. Detectives took these pictures of her injuries, but now police agree it never happened. On the night 19-year-old Faith Cox claimed Christopher assaulted her, he was at an event in Austin, more than 60 miles away. He posed in a photo that helped convince prosecutors of his innocence and to drop the charges. On Tuesday, authorities charged Cox with making a false report to police. She faces up to 180 days in jail if convicted. Christopher spent 10 months working to get his case thrown out, all the while facing the possibility of 99 years in prison if he didn't.
She is not a person in my life anymore. I'm finally done with her, and I can move on with my life and feel great about it.
With his name now cleared, Christopher says he plans to join the Navy. He also wants to possibly start a nonprofit called What About Me to help people just like him, accused of a crime they didn't do. He also wants to focus on healing the emotional scars of an ordeal that never should have happened.
To get to a good endpoint.
Christopher says he still has no idea why Cox made the report to police in the first place. Her attorney said today that he would not comment on that aspect of the case. Tony Plahetsky.
So this was 4 years after they separated. So this isn't like, hey, it's still fresh in my mind. This is 4 years after the fact. And the day she did it, he was out with what appeared to be a new girlfriend. And she was motivated to not only self-harm, but to put this guy away for 90 years if possible. So it does happen. It takes away from real victims, and it leans to the side of, well, we shouldn't believe victims. But it also leads to the fact that human nature will lead some people to try to hurt you. And if they feel powerless, maybe the only power they have is to play that card, the accuser card. And if they're pissed off and, they have a murderous rage, they don't care. They're going to want to see you crushed by that.
Months in prison for lying about being raped. This type of case has only happened twice in Hamilton County in the last 5 years. 9 News reporter Annette Pegler is downtown at the Hamilton County Courthouse after speaking with the woman's family about why this happened. Annette?
Carol, Melinda Denham sent a letter to the judge stating that she lied when she told police that her ex-boyfriend Shannon Hudson raped her in her father's Blue Ash home.
And so he didn't rape you?
No. Melinda Denham broke down in tears this morning after admitting that she lied when she swore before a grand jury about being raped last August.
I know I made a mistake, and I know I can't take it back. I don't want to get in trouble no more.
Her boyfriend Shannon Hudson was charged with burglary and 2 counts of rape and spent 2 months in jail before being released.
2 months of his life. Who knows what he went through in there?
And this man spent 60 days, as I understand, in jail or thereabouts because you lied.
Family members of Denham said she lied out of fear.
He threatened her and promised all this kinds of stuff that his lawyer was going to do for her and he was going to do for her, and threatening her and through letters and phone calls.
Kendall Fisher works for Women Helping Women downtown. She says they help about 1,300 sexual assault survivors.
See, now this woman has a great point. This is a tough conversation.
When there's a great deal of media attention given to the issue of false reporting, because what that does is it really amplifies what's really a universal barrier for sexual assault survivors and coming forward and getting support, and it's that fear that they're not going to be believed.
Denham is now 6 months pregnant, and her mother says Hudson is not the father. Her family says she shouldn't have received the jail time.
She's never been in any trouble. She was a good kid.
Now, Denham will have to
Sorry to hear that, Shay.
when she is released. On a related note, April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and Women Helping Women has a 24-hour crisis hotline for anyone who is facing the results of a sexual assault. For that number, you can...
See, so instead of like trying to sweep these cases under the rug, I think advocates for these types of cases need to bring the hammer down harder and stand with the people who are outraged by these false claims and try to, instead of saying, oh, well, let's not focus on that because it takes away from real victims. Well, yeah, without those false claims, victims would be believed much more of the time. And it's the reason why they're not always believed, or some people don't believe them, is because of people like that, because it's human nature and people do lie to hurt others. Well, he went to jail for what'd they say, 10 weeks? She should go to jail for 10 weeks, if not more. Okay, so I'm not sure if the video came out already, but it is something that I wanted to talk about at the end of this video, was the possibility of the girls being taken and brought back. Whether they were taken and brought back before 4 p.m. or taken and brought back later in the night. I'm not saying I think that that's what happened. I just want to know if you guys think that that is something that is possible. I'm not even saying likely. I just want to know if you can entertain the possibility. And I'm going to show you why I think that it could be possible. Before that, we're going to catch up on the chat to see what you guys have to say about the whole Ron Logan, the James Haas situation, Barbara McDonald. What do you guys think about all that? Her mistakes was getting caught. Gross. What's up, Mark? Good to see you. What's up, Jinx? Yeah, I mean, that's got to be awful. Like, as somebody who's been victimized, to watch that, you know? Because what it is it's almost like the whoever they're lying about is being raped. Like, their life is being raped. He said nobody would believe him. God, that's scary. On both sides of that, it's scary. Yeah, those people that do that, they need to face the maximum penalty because it hurts on all sides of that fight. Makes sense, Don. Don't do it. Indy says, I've been saying all along that they were abducted, taken away, and brought back. We're going to talk about that today. We got about maybe 15, 20 minutes. Kevin says, I've always thought they could have been taken back, but why not to a different location? Maybe they were still alive and told the killer about the dropped phone. Well, we're going to look at the timeline, and then I'm also going to pull a short clip from Cold Case Files. I think it's like 20 seconds. That way I don't think they'll hit me. They might hit me, and then I'll have to remove it later. But it's the Shauna Ho case. Are you guys familiar with that case? Well, in this case, they kidnapped the girl, and she's missing all day. And they go and they search everywhere. They search near this bridge. They search under the bridge. They search the wilderness area around this bridge. Okay, they search all day and night. And then the very next day, a hunter who is exiting through that bridge sees the girl right there, smack dab in the middle of the water where they were just searching, and 2 tennis shoes up on top of the bridge. Staged. They were staged there to make it look like she fell off. Well, this is after they searched the entire area. So later that night, after they searched, they brought back the girl, and they didn't bring back the body. They brought her back and then killed her there. So it does happen. Hey, Beach Fairy. Don't know if you saw my comment earlier, Sleuth, but I've seen elsewhere that no sign of a struggle is used in documents when there is more than one crime scene. No struggle at the initial crime scene. It's not what it said, though. Okay. Whoops. Okay, now I tried to do this timeline according to Richard Allen's probable cause affidavit as best I can. Still under construction. So I want you guys to focus on the timeline is right after the 2:13 mark where they make contact with the killer on the bridge. I want you to watch the amount of time that goes by until he is again spotted out on 300. Apparently muddy and bloody. And there needs to be some tweaks right in there. What's up, Red Flags? Miss Thang, good to see you. Okay, so what is going on? Almost 2 hours pass. You're telling me you're out there for 2 hours with these missing girls. And in the probable cause affidavit, it says he wasn't seen again until he was out on 300. So the amount of time it took for 3 different families to come and go to do their hike, to do whatever it is that they were doing on the bridge. This guy is just out there. So what is going on between this time, and why is he still there? You want to talk about missing time? Okay, so he's eventually spotted right around here about 3:59. Okay, now I'm going to play this little video here. It's just a clip from, maybe I can pull it up here. I believe it's from Cold Case Files. Just like Cold Case Files, just like Cold Case Files. Okay, guys. We'll watch this and then we're going to end the stream.
And there she was. She wasn't there the day before because we were out there.
Her shoes were found on the bridge. The area was combed by law enforcement the day before. And then she
Staging.
found her at daylight, clearly indicating that the kidnapper had went back in during the dark with the child and then killed Shauna and disposed of her body there. The likelihood of those shoes being found on the bridge, one facing one direction, one facing the other, and not falling off the bridge, that was placed there. So
there you have it. It is possible, and it's happened in other cases. Right after they've searched an area, the killer has come right back and not only placed the bodies there, but actually killed them there. Now, the difference is they weren't taken. In this situation, she wasn't taken from that location. But still, why would they do that? Why not take them somewhere completely different? It's because something's going on in the killer's minds. They think that they have some kind of plan, you know? And if this is the case for Delphi, I mean, they got away for 6 months. Whoever did this, if they were, staging and doing all these things to throw off law enforcement, maybe it worked for a little while. I don't know. But I recommend going and watching that full special there. That poor girl. And in that situation, something very similar happened, right? They had their prime suspect, Occam's razor, everything down to a T, slam dunk. And then here comes somebody with information about the suspects. Like, oh, no, according to this document, they were in jail and it was physically impossible for them to have committed this murder. Boom, becomes a cold case. Years later, they go back and they look at the information and realize that no, they were not locked up. So very similar to what happened in Delphi. This person who they believe actually committed the murder, there's evidence, actual physical evidence linking him to the murder, right? And not to mention him putting himself there and on the bridge, dressed like the bridge guy. You don't have to stack a whole lot to make a case against Richard Allen. And you can actually just stack a few facts that are 100% provable, and you can easily lean in that direction of at least his involvement or him being the guy on the bridge. But on that note, guys, we're going to start wrapping it up. I appreciate you hanging out, listening to my opinion. Thank you so much. Shout out to R&M. Great video. Great conversation piece. If you haven't already, please. It's the easiest way you can contribute to my channel and show your support. I don't know why, but it does wonders for the views. Anybody part of the replay crew or